You know what? Like, I like to be very thoughtful about the things that I've been thinking about, and I think that I am going like super smart about things in life already, and that I got an intuition of like where of like currently or where am I think that this is not pretty much a sort of an ego. It's kind of like a thing that is speaking to me, to my heart. I was just napping just a while back ago, and I suddenly like thought about stuff, like thought about the things that is actually going on and what kind of like progress am I in. And I would say EQ, emotional intelligence, that the way I interact with people, the way I do things, the way I behave, everything that I actually kind of do, it comes down to self-esteem. And then I pretty much can rate my self-esteem based on 1 to 10. I would say I'll give myself a 0.5. Why? I think that the things that I've been thinking a lot about, it's not being brought up, it's not being given, it's not given the permission to have it to be behave out. I feel like the things that I've been thinking a lot about, the hot things that I have, a lot of thoughts that is being held inside of me, is not being portrayed out, it's not being given out, it's not being taught out. I feel that the thing that is holding me back is like self-esteem, and I like to go slow about it, and it's not gonna be like a one magical moment whereby I like, wow, I watch this and then I consistently like behave like this way, and I just consistently like do this action that I beggar. So that's the big difference between empathy and sympathy. I'm not like a very good explainer, explaining kind of a thing, that I don't really do that quite well, and I'm starting to lose my energy, as you can vibe it out yourself. And I like to be very thoughtful about the hot moment that I actually had, and energy is pretty low because of lack of sleep, that kind of stuff. You know it's pretty rough, but we're looking pretty much on the optimistic side, and that we try to walk around like me having a lower energy, and at the same time I want to like try to achieve what I'm trying to achieve through this episode that I give, of me giving the hot takes that I kind of like want to give out right over here. you know like I like to be very thoughtful, regarding how this self-esteem works, regarding how like self-esteem affects the person that prevents me from overcoming these big obstacles in my life, which prevents me to do so many other things that I want to actually do. I have like lots of hot things that I am able to do. So the very basic version of like what kind of like scenario that I am stuck in is that I want to make it very brief. That am stuck. I am stuck at a fucked up place. Like, it's a place where people gonna judge me and all that kind of stuff, and I gonna take in their opinions, and I not gonna like take it like very positively. I'm telling you, I'm taking it negatively, and I am pretty much aware of that. I kind of got a feel, like how you have like that kind of like intuition or like gut feeling that something is not wrong, something is not right, that something is going wrong. And that's how I'm feeling right now. I am feeling wrong about this whole situation as a whole, and everything is so messed up, and that things is like like I feel that I'm touching a lot of things on the surface level, and it's not like me go diving deep into the problem itself, which allows me to like talk to a person. I like to act it cool, act like it's I'm cool with it, but I'm actually not. I'm not, like I don't know how to play it all out. Like the person, like say one of my friend, it's like a it's like a very basic version of like what will happen, like when I feel down, when I feel like I have a trouble. I It's almost like impossible. It's never even fucking possible for me to communicate it out, like deep stuff, like sometimes occasionally people will ask me, especially when I was like way back younger, or I'll say like a few years back. I'm a crybaby, and up to now, I think I still am. And when I cry, people will like ask me, "Hey, dude, what the fuck's wrong, man?" They feel the I almost feel they have a lot of sympathy. But one fact that it's almost impossible to empathize me for them, because it almost feels like this sort of scenario, this sort of like situation, they have not been there before. And I know that because I I'm still figuring out myself. I don't even understand, and they don't even understand. It's pretty much like two confused person like talking to each other. They having that sympathy. I like how humor works, like applying humility through like different forms. They using the sympathy to like recover myself back into the normal state, and then I will get into the deep shit again, and then I try to recover from there. It's like a whole fun cycle of like me getting a deep shit and me getting back to the normal state. It's just a fucking big topic, like I thought this was gonna take like a fast game, chop me getting straight into the thing and talking out loud very briefly, but it's not very simple. But I like to jump back into making it more simplified. I'm a person who makes things very complex. You see how I go roll with this recording itself. I keep jumping along, jump around like many different things to make things like sound so super complicated that people would never fucking understand what the fuck am I talking about. But fuck that, fuck that. um you know so it's a long recording, that's for sure. This is definitely gonna be a longer form of a like sort of like a recording of my hot take that I like to talk about. Currently I am in low energy, that's for sure. That I need to find a way to be very thoughtful of like how I am I actually able to communicate myself out of this whole situation, to briefly actually understand what the hell is going on and what are the further steps that I can do. Because like by looking at the big picture, if I think the big thing for me right now is to look this whole situation as a whole in a freaking big ass picture. Like I'm talking about Dota games. I've been like playing Dota 2 with a few of my friends, working on stuff. I'm trying to work on stuff, and I believe that these guys, I'm not getting the affirmation, that's for sure, that these guys will stay with me to do these things together. And they might just leave, and as a whole I will leave this whole platform of Dota to I'm holding on to the strings, I'm holding on to the game at the mercy of my friends. And that's why I am romanticizing on the past experiences, the ways that I actually deal with them, the past solutions that I actually roll with these guys. I am afraid. I am afraid that they leave me. These guys who play with me, how I look at this is basically this whole game, Dota 2 is an esports game that I actually play since I was like probably like 10 or 9, obviously on and off playing it until today. That I just like the brotherhood ship. I like the idea of brotherhoodship, working together, 5 of us working out a solution, a way for us to play the game itself. That's why I just love with the freaking game. But one thing for sure, jumping back to practicality, it's all ideological stuff. I love the game. I truly love the game. I like the idea of like 5 people working together, talking about the shit that is going on, have to actually strategize the playstyle for that works with us, that complements each other's like playstyle, and talking about it and being very practical about it, and it's all about helping each other. Lots of like humility that's going on over there during the game itself, playing the game as a whole, spending a lot of time doing that kind of stuff. That's a big thing that I talking about the present moment right now, after like living through this this whole thing about Dota 2. Wow, I'm just amazed about like how much things that I like to talk about, how much of the things that I like to achieve at a big level. I think this is the last thing that I would like to talk about, and then I want to jump into the biggest thing that will give me the unlock, the whatever you call it, the key, the unlock for myself to look at the big picture, so as to be able to take the micro steps and small type of steps that allows me to become the full of myself, become super hyper awareness, full awareness. And he would probably take like extreme steps. I mean, by extreme steps is like saying that I need to like probably have a fucking morning routine. Like the moment like say I wake the fuck up, I run down to the downstairs, I run down to somewhere and do some fucking exercise to fucking get my mind grounded, that kind of stuff. I know this is it sounds like super fucking insane, and then at one moment I got a fucking good feeling that this is gonna happen, because recently this already happened. So recently what actually happened was that one day I was like just one random day I was just lazing around, and then I was like looking through Instagram, that kind of thing, just chilling, and then I have a thought that I was thinking that, fuck man, I actually post out so many videos on my Instagram, I post up so many things on my TikTok, I post up so many things on YouTube, LinkedIn, Facebook, all kinds of platforms, that I am vulnerable to all the fucking people. I suddenly got a fucking hot take about that, that the more as I'm talking, I have this whole thing in mind that I actually do to actually keep myself back into perspective. Will I actually give a fuck? Will I actually give a fuck about it if I say like, I'll say that one of my closest family just fucking dies one day, on that day, on the fucking day itself, like touch wood, I don't know how this thing works, this touch wood thing, but I'm kind of following it because it's been very good to do. Like, what if? Will I give a fuck about how people is gonna think about me putting up videos about me talking about my personal background? Will I give a fuck? Like, fuck! Like, I don't know what else to tell you, like, I will not give a fuck about what they're gonna think, or what it's gonna happen to me, or me ruining my whole relationship as a whole, because I already like ruined my whole the way I actually do stuff already. Like, fuck, like people don't give a fuck about me, and so why the fuck do I give a fuck about their micro opinions and whether my friendship with them will actually stay or not? This is truly who am I? I've been behaving on this, I've been romanticizing with behaving of like the politically correct way. I'm romanticizing that way far too much. It's starting to feel way too disgusting already. I'm behaving the politically right way of how to behave. Up to now, I actually lost track. I actually lost a fucking track of like what I actually want to talk about on the brief fucking level. But this is my whole of my fucking life, and I like to go round and round and round about stuff. But this moment that I like to jump into right now is the most important part for myself, like selfishly for myself, the most fucking important thing that I like to drill down into my head, because this thing is stopping me from allowing all the positive kind of like attitude, all the positive things that I learned from Gary Vee, all the positive things that I learned from Tony Robbins, these two amazing men, and I not forgetting Jay Shetty as well, this and Tom Bilyeu, who got me started into watching this type of stuff, like super hot onto it. These four men authentic. This four men I actually accidentally stopped the recording and all that bullshit. But I like to get back to the energy since it's starting to roll again already. So this four men being very true, being very super duper honest, being very real. I don't know what else to say. This four men, I feel genuinely wants to help people to get their heart, mind, everything into connection. I don't really understand what that means, but I like to drill this down, that in order for myself to actually bring my ideas, the things that I'm thinking positive, the things that I've been thinking, the things that I know is great and I don't actually execute, that the things that I like, the things that I want to do, the things that my heart is speaking, that the things that my mind is thinking about, the things that I really want to do. In order to do that, I think that it all comes down to me having the self-esteem to execute the fuck out of it. The self-esteem, I don't know where the fuck do I find that. I need to fucking find the fucking self-esteem to execute the fuck out of it. And one funny thing is that as I'm saying this, like, I'm visualizing that people will see this fucking shit, that they know that I need to execute the shit, and then they know they see that I want to execute this shit, and they know about it, and they just like because basically they ignore it, they can't do anything about it. And that's how the story of my life works for the fucking past few years, you know, that I am showing things, I'm crying, I have a deep reason. I can't possibly be like crying for no fucking reason, alright? Like I starting to have like sort of like a pattern recognition of like what the fuck is happening on my fucking life already. So this is what has actually been happening past few years, being a super crybaby, been crying for a particular reason, and that the person has sympathy, not empathy, sympathy towards me, seeing a crying person, and then they go like going with the humility kind of version, and like you know, comforting me and making me wind down and like, oh, life is short, appreciate it, and life goes on, and I will, get back onto my own 2 feet and live another day, and then the whole cycle fucking repeats. Me crying again, a person showing sympathy and winding me down, and me slowing down the fucking life, not understanding what the fuck and the deep root reason that caused me to behave in that certain way, and the whole fun cycle repeats. And let me tell you, past few years, I'm talking about this year as well, 2019, that fucking happened to me. I cried, person show me sympathy as usual, winds me down. I think about like how great life is, and then, but actually no. I thought that every single time I cry, and then I found like, I go into this like state of like thinking, reflecting about stuff, having I have this self-talk playing a huge part, like saying, hey, you fucked up, you cry in front of them. The whole thing, I cry, and many kind of like variable kind of things actually happen onto myself, which is first the self-talk, which is like talking bad stuff. Hey Jason, you fucked up, that kind of stuff. I think I'm gonna leave that aside, because that that's just it's a whole another fun story about that. I want to jump into something that, basically it's not being addressed. Things that I actually do, I pattern recognize at this current moment. I pattern recognize that me behaving that on the crybaby version, I pattern recognize that it's a whole fun cycle, and it's not gonna stop, because the deep down root reason why I actually behave that certain way is not being addressed. Just like how my self-esteem is not being addressed. But me pointing out that self-esteem is the reason, me pointing out that me crying with a deep root reason is addressing it, bringing me self-awareness, me looking at a big picture of like these two big parts of my life. I think something magical is gonna happen, that as I look at these two things properly, I will start to, take micro steps, baby steps forward, and hopefully not backward and not stagnant anymore, which has been stagnant throughout like many fucking years. And like, I'm starting to get tired, every single fucking years has been, I've been feeling very tired about it, because I think one huge part, one big factor, environment don't even have this space of me actually having a proper talk. It's funny how I am able to like show my feelings, show my concerns, show basically reflecting, have a good point of like a reflection for myself to think about this stuff. What a great year to fucking end this 2019. It's like a fucking big mystery that has been like kind of like solved, and yeah, I like to end that with that, because I don't want to overjudge myself, which a fucking big thing that I will definitely fucking tackle right after like self-esteem being recovered, and when I actually can put my mind and body, basically mind and execution as one whole fucking thing. I think I will go fucking insane. I will go like fucking powerful, although I will still be very scared of some shit, like afraid of heights, afraid of like that kind of stuff that I don't like to actually kind of like do, like being killed or anything like this. Obviously I will still be scared, but I think that is the moment where I go like unstoppable of like many different parts of my fucking life, and I'm hyped for that. I'm hyped for that moment, because I can actually put all the things all the things into actually like into at least 1% progression and start to take micro steps, baby steps to move forward. I'm fucking hyped about that. And that's the big part of the things that I'm be think about. I think I need to drill this down into my head a lot of times. Definitely the fucking Lee. Ciao. Thanks for watching.